How long have you been following my YouTube channel?
I'd say for about a month.
Okay.
Probably like a month. Just been, kind of watching here and there. And then I started really watching them. Like, I've been watching at least one a day before I started talking to you, just because it was helping me a lot even before I talked to you.
Yeah. Tell me what give a little history about your circumstance, and in turn, relative to what you and I are working on. What state of mind were you in when you actually decided to work with me?
For me, I was just at my lowest point. I mean, been dieting for probably about 8 years on and off, and just kind of had come to the realization that nothing was working, and I was digging myself deeper and deeper into a hellhole, and physically feeling insane, that there was no way out, there's just like no hope. And then stumbled upon you, and just like being at the end, realizing that, this was like my last chance. This was something that I needed to finally just address the mental issues that were obviously triggering everything, and then hopefully find my way out of this.
Yeah. Would you say you were depressed?
Oh, yeah.
Depressed? Were you suicidal at all?
Yes, I would say, because, I never had gotten to the actual point where but that was the thought that crossed my mind, because, I literally would think in the morning, death would feel better than living this insanity the rest of my life.
Yeah, so you had actually gotten to the point where dying felt relieving to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, because there was some real suffering. It's pretty dark. Don't you agree, that space when you're so obsessed over your body, your weight, your food? It is a very dark space to be in.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It totally is.
And it's like, how long can you live that way? How long can you dedicate your life to this? You did it for over 8 years.
Yeah.
And you get to where you're like, is this what my life is about? Is this actually how the rest of my life is going to live? Because when you're in it, doesn't it feel like there's no possible way out?
Oh, yeah, totally. You just feel like that was what, other people were lucky enough but that was just something you were going to have to accept, that was your fate.
Yeah, it kind of feels like being abducted, right? And not having a choice. It's almost like being abducted, being brainwashed, and then choosing not to leave. And that's the crazy part too, right? Is that you feel like there's no other way out because you've chosen to stay here. Right? That's the hardest and most weirdest part, is that you stay inside of that darkness. You withhold yourself from reality. You withhold yourself from happiness in life because you actually believe that your body image and being thin is the only way to be happy. So you actually withhold yourself from food, from life, from people, from love, from self-expression, because you believe body image, or the idolizing of your weight, your size, your clothes, your looks, your attractiveness, that is ultimately your calling. Okay, so this is our first session of 10. You and I did our consult this past weekend. It's been a few days, and I want to know how you feel. What has changed since our initial consult?
Oh, everything. I can't even tell you. I feel free, really. That's the only word I can use to describe it. I feel free.
Yeah, like from that from the dark trap. Yeah, it's like you're free from being held captive.
Yeah.
And
that really hit home to me when you were talking about being held hostage. That just was like, it's exactly what it was.
And the only reason why you were being held hostage, do you understand now why you felt hostage? It's because you chose, right? You chose and internalized that the reason for being held hostage was honorable. If you're not thin, this is an honorable reason to be held captive. You can't go out until you're thin. Having body fat is worthy of mockery, shame, loathing, guilt. It's worthy of punishment. It's worthy of starvation. it's worthy of obsessive compulsiveness. Like, you should be obsessed about your body, because having body fat is such a sin, right?
Yeah.
So the only reason why you were held captive to that is because you believed that. So what did we do? We just went in and talked about, well, if you want to continue to honor thinness, beautiness, attractiveness as your identity, then is there a way out if that's what you want to honor? No, it's impossible. And isn't that what creates this dark space? Like, it's impossible to leave because you have to get thin first. And even when you do get thin, do you ever leave the environment? Mm-mm.
You never do. It's never good enough.
Mm-mm. It's never good enough. So tell me how you have felt since our conversation. Besides free, what have you noticed?
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing, I mean, when we talked, I had doubts in my mind about myself. I mean, I understood, the way out in it, but I thought, is it really going to be that easy for me? Am I still going to be held to those urges, and am I going to know what hunger feels like? Like, I was really skeptical that I was going to have a hard time with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't at all. Like, it was so easy. It just seemed like this should have been obvious to me all along, that this is how you should be living your life. I mean, the urges to binge are not there. And I am free to eat whatever I want, whenever I want. Like, that just, it blew my mind, because it just seems so simple, but I haven't thought that way in years. So it's insane.
I was just saying, if this was, so looking back at that, how your mind was functioning, it is insane, right? It feels crazy. It is obsessive. It is, and no one questions the system in it, do they?
No.
Because it's honorable, right? Doesn't everybody want to be thin? Doesn't everybody want to be like their healthiest, right? No one questions that paradigm. So anybody you would say, and you've had a lot of help. You've gone to a lot of counseling for this, right?
Yes.
And has anybody actually shown you the core of the problem?
No.
Mm-mm.
It's always about, it's almost like it's more about blaming something else. It's never about taking responsibility and realizing that you created this yourself, and you're the only one that can help yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't do it. All I did was say, here, have you looked at it this way? And what would it feel like if you actually remove the permanence in this belief? Because you think it's sacred. You think that it's holy, that it's moral, that it can't be questioned. So when we actually look at it and question it, and we give you a sense of what life would be like if it was gone, all of a sudden, what happens?
Yeah, it's not there.
You feel this incredible sense of empowerment. Am I controlling you?
No, not at all.
I know, right? Am I telling you everything you have to do? And is there is this mind control that I'm using?
No.
No, it's really just giving you empowerment and saying, hey, you don't have to live this way anymore. You don't have to believe that culture. You don't have to isolate yourself. You don't have to withhold yourself from life because you're not as thin as this culture wants to praise. Is it really praiseworthy? Is thinness truly praiseworthy?
It's not.
Doesn't it sound silly? It really sounds juvenile, doesn't it? Very immature.
It does. It really does.
Well, I have to break it to you. This belief system stems from a juvenile state of mind. So if you go into it and you believe it, you're capped at a juvenile state of mind. So what you might have found in the last few days is you feel, have you noticed that you just feel more aware?
Oh, totally.
I want you to describe it, because I clearly have seen this enough times that I could sit here and go, here's the symptoms that people feel when they leave the cult, when they actually dismantle the brainwashing. And it's instant. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, does it?
Oh, no. That's what I thought. I mean, I just really thought it was going to be a process. It's not, though. When you say it's instant, it really is instant.
Yeah, it is. As soon as you make the decision, right? And don't you agree? What was very clearly communicated to you in that moment that I was guiding you through it was you need to feel this as if it's real, and you need to go through this as if it's permanent. So when you leave permanently, you never again have to be thin, right? There is a permanence that has to go into the acceptance of a body, right? That the body you're going to be in permanently will never have to be thin again. And you don't even remember when I said to you, you can't even hope for losing weight. If you even hope for it, you can't get this freedom. Do you see why now? Now that you're out of it, can you see why I would say that?
Yeah. Because if you have even a little bit, know that I feel like you're still giving it the power.
Yeah, you are, and you're still held to it and bound to it. Yeah, you have to actually completely sever ties from it being a possibility. And even if it does happen, you do not want to connect to it as a virtue or a value, as if losing weight makes you better, right? So in terms of eating to hunger, that to me is like, I don't even talk about it. Can you see why? It's like it's not a problem. It becomes so natural and so relaxed. It is a organic, free-flowing, gracious way of eating when there is no body identification, right? When you are no longer held to the body ideology or having to lose weight. It's easy. It's second nature. It just, you relax into it, right? There's no struggle. There's no impulse. The impulses to continue to eat, they're not there anymore, are they?
No.
How often did you binge before?
At least 2 times a week, I would say.
Twice a week. That is actually in the psychological community, that 2 times a week would have defined you as binge eating disorder. Mm-hmm. Would you say your binges were euphoric? You couldn't stop?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, binge eating disorder. Did you ever purge?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so bulimia.
I've been anorexic. I'm bulimic. I was an exercise bulimic. So I've done it all. I've basically been through every single where you can think of. Mm-hmm. I guess the last what piece was because I'm finally my body couldn't take any of the other abuse anymore, and I kind of gave it up.
Yeah, and you've actually gained what, 40 or 50 pounds? Mm-hmm. So you have just recently gained, doing all of that, 40 to 50 pounds.
Yep.
So can you see why people who gain this type of weight would say it's impossible? I can't leave this cult right now because I have to lose weight. Otherwise, right? To where the pressure gets worse as you start gaining, doesn't it?
Exactly.
But you get to the
more control you feel like you need, and you just spiral out of control because that's when I got to my worst. I just felt like I had no control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, of course you don't, because you're manipulating. This is what I find so fascinating, is that this is not just about proving your worth through integrity. This is proving your worth through your size and weight. And to do that, you cannot eat. You're not allowed to eat. So when people have this, what it feels like when someone is gaining weight and they hold themselves to thin ideology or the thin cult, that they have been, it's like they're holding themselves to an abusive belief that they actually, they have internalized as a righteous belief. Even if they are trying to have self-love, even if you're trying to convince yourself that not having body image is a virtue, but yet why am I still struggling with this? Well, it's because you might say you love yourself unconditionally, but the fact that you truly only honor thinness, right? There is a degree of stress with food, right? So even if someone says, I love myself unconditionally, I love my body in any way, but if you're struggling with eating to hunger, what do you think? What does that say?
You don't really believe that.
You don't. You're trying to convince yourself. You're trying to convince yourself that, yes, in a real world environment, no one should be held to this standard because it's clearly abusive, right? It's clearly not okay. No human being should be held to this standard and punished and manipulated with food and starvation and obsessive compulsive exercise. No one should be forced to justify and rationalize pleasure with food. However, if you have to be thin, you have to justify and rationalize pleasure with food. What happens when you have this underlying need to lose weight is your sense of need for food just increases, right? Food becomes important. Food becomes something you think about. There is this weird mouthiness to wanting to eat. Do you recall those feelings?
Oh, yeah.
Like this. So can you see why the hunger scale wouldn't work for that?
No, because you feel like you're hungry all the time, but it's not real.
You got it. She just said, you feel like you're hungry all the time, but it isn't real. It's anxiety.
No.
Wouldn't you agree that you could say that feeling feels like anxiousness? Feels like something's got to be done. Something's got to be done. Something's got to be done. Like that all the time, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So once you start eating, you're trying to numb that feeling, and it just never really works. So you just eat. You just eat, and food becomes this constant thought. But it's only there because I have to lose weight. I have to lose weight. I have to lose weight. This isn't good. This isn't good, right? And you're gaining weight as you're eating all of that. So what do you suggest for people who gain 50 pounds like you have? What do you have to do to stop?
You have to let go of the idea that you need to lose weight. Yeah, because the more you think about it, the deeper you're getting yourself into that hole, and that, what I've been for that insanity.
Yeah. What about for my health? I need to do it for my health.
Well, that's the thing that I thought. It's having your mental health. Yeah, you're still mutilating your body by continuously, continuing on that path. You're not being healthy.
Yeah, it's like you're.
But you're really not.
You're not. In fact, the fat gain is a sign of health. The fact that the body can gain fat when you do this to it is amazing. So do you need to lose weight for health, or do you need to stop trying to lose weight for health?
Yeah, you need to stop trying.
Yeah. Yeah, and to do that, you have to go into your beliefs around body righteousness. This is a body righteous hijacking, right? So you are being held hostage by the body righteous culture. If you believe that being attractive is your worth and you actually internalize those values, don't you agree that that's why you are holding yourself hostage? You are now sympathizing for your hostage. You now are clouding the abuse and say it's justifiable. I have to lose weight, right? So now you are actually reasoning and justifying abusive behavior. You would never treat another human being this way. No human being should be withheld or starved, right? But because I'm held to this cult ideology around body righteousness, I cannot eat. I'm not allowed to enjoy food. I'm not allowed to have freedom with food. In fact, I'm not allowed to eat. And the hunger scale inside that cult can become cultish. Don't you agree? Yeah, like, oh my God, I didn't eat perfect. I ate to a sense. I'm such a bad person, right?
Yeah. It makes perfect. It's a whole black and white and all or nothing.
Yeah. So when we talked, I discussed this syndrome I'm writing about for this book that I will at some point publish, but I'm talking about this syndrome that I'm not going to go into detail here with. And I had said to you just a second ago before we recorded that if this was a disease, this wouldn't have happened so quickly, would it have?
No.
If it was even a condition, like you had been conditioned, don't you agree that this wouldn't have been so abrupt either?
No.
It is a syndrome, which means it can end quickly as soon as the phenomena, if you get out of the cause of the syndrome, the phenomena is gone. Is that surprising to you? Honest to God, how quickly and instantaneously your brain chemistry changed?
Yeah, it is. I just didn't think it was that easy. I didn't think it would be possible that I was actually doing this the whole time.
Yeah, and
it was really all in my brain.
It is all in your brain. And what did it ultimately take for you? Not me. Okay, I want you to speak to someone listening who is in that misery and cannot seek a way out. They don't think there's a way out. They think we're crazy for even suggesting that you stop dieting. What do you have to say?
I understand because I thought the same thing. Is that there is hope and you need to get out of that mentality. Stop idolizing the perfect body and let go of wanting to lose weight.
Say that one more time. It's like really clouded what you're saying. You said you have to stop idolizing the perfect body.
Yes, stop idolizing the perfect body and just realize that losing weight cannot be your main focus. And like, you're not even a focus at all in your life. You need to let your body do what it's going to do and trust it, because that's the only way out, is to just stop, idolizing and worshiping that perfect body.
Do you agree that when I suggested, when we were talking, I said it has to be a permanent decision that you will never again want, need, or even hope for that body, the image in your head? Even because in your mind, you're like, I just want to lose 20 pounds. I just want to get down to where I was before I, gained. It's like you have to take the body you have right now, being that it's 50 pounds heavier than it was 6 months ago or 10 months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to take the body you have right now and decide that this body is good enough for me for the rest of my life. So the body you have becomes your new point of move. This is your new life with this body. And you're not going to tell it has to do anything, right? It's like leaving the belief culture around body thinness, body beauty, body attractiveness, body health, body fitness. You're completely leaving that and saying the body I have right now as is perfect.
Perfect, exactly.
Right? And you have to let all of that crazy die. And what happened?
And then it's gone.
It is gone. But don't you agree it had to be your choice, right? I can say, here's how you get out. Here is how you get out. You have to go through this, and you have to go through accepting the body you have. You're the one who has to dismantle those beliefs. And it's not dismantling it for everybody else, because everybody else gets grace, but you don't. It is dissolving it with the body you have right now. 50 pounds heavier. Yeah. Could you live the rest of your life? And we go through, because you're single. Could you get married in this body? Yeah. Right? We went through that. Could you have children in this body? Could you be the mother of the bride in this body? Could you go on vacation with a boyfriend with this body? Is it worthy of living? Is the body you're in worthy of getting married, having love, being sexual, having children? Is it worthy of celebration, vacation, right? Mm-hmm. What is the answer?
Yes, it is.
What was the answer before?
No.
Okay, what does that sound like? Being held hostage. You can't go. You can't enjoy. You can't celebrate. You can't have a boyfriend. You can't get married. You can't have children. You can't. You are held hostage. And what is holding you hostage is the fact that you actually internalized and praised this sacred belief of being thin as if it is the end all be all of your life, right? Like it is worthy of obsession. And you feel withheld. And ultimately, that withholding is why you could not leave, why there was no exit strategy, because you never considered that the reason you have held yourself hostage is because you believe that you have to have a thinner body, right? Relative to whatever that is, thinner body. What I find interesting is the people I work with who are in this syndrome, it actually has a name, who have this syndrome, it doesn't matter how much they weigh. You could have only 10 pounds. You could think, I need to lose 10 more pounds, or I need to lose 200 pounds, because I have clients who are that much overweight. They have the same exact system, the same exact hijacking, the same exact, they're held to the same captivity. They worship and honor the same system. Right? So the person who has 10 pounds to lose has to be willing to gain, has to be willing to be okay not having the perfect body. No different than someone who's had the perfect body and is now 50 pounds overweight. You have to be okay keeping the body you have and not needing or wanting the one you used to have, right?
Yeah.
You have to completely erase body image from your identity. It is not who you are. It is not what defines your worth to humanity, right? Is you being physically attractive to someone else, is that truly your role in life?
No.
Right. So when we eliminate body image, what becomes your attraction? What makes you attractive if it's not body image? What is it?
Who you
Have you ever considered?
Well,
Right, so now you're allowed to be free. So when you say, Robin, I feel so free, what feels free?
for me, the biggest thing is like I feel like my mind is as far as like you realize how much of your day was spent thinking about food. For the last couple of days, I just feel like I can think about things that I want to think about and do the things that I want to do, and I don't feel like my entire day is wrapped up in what am I going to do next? Like all the stupid things that were in my mind before, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
You feel more in tune with yourself. Like you can really be. It's hard to word what I'm trying to say. Like you're just really being yourself and having fun and not feeling like oh, I can't go do this because food might be involved or blah blah. Like last night, I went out with my friends and it's been a long time since I've done that, and just I didn't even worry about food. It was just about being with my friends. It didn't even matter. Like it had nothing to do with what restaurant we went to, where we were.
No, and you didn't worry about what they were thinking about how much weight you gained.
No,
you just said,
even a thought.
I here's what I am. So if they don't like it, it becomes their problem. It's no longer your problem because you left that cult. You're done, right? So if someone else has a problem with your weight, does it affect how you feel about yourself? No. But before, it was completely controlling you. Fear of rejection, fear of people's judgment, fear of what people thought, embarrassment for people who saw you thin. I mean, the whole thing, that's what keeps you held hostage, is the fact that you actually believe that your body fat or lack of or the thinness or the fatness, that any of that has any power over what people think about you. It only has power over people who are in that culture. So do you wish to be held captive by their opinion?
No.
Me neither.
It's dumb.
Juvenile.
That was like, I wouldn't want, if I had friends that really, if that was what the biggest draw to me was the fact that I was thin, then would we really want those friends in your life anyways? And no, you wouldn't. So you
don't even want to affiliate with people who are in that and who believe in that abusiveness and who justify and reason the abuse because they believe in it. So they don't even see that it's abusive. They think it's an honorable abusive system. Honorable. That's because they have the syndrome. It's like you are now supporting your own abuser. It's quite amazing, actually. And it's amazing to have that explanation, isn't it? It just makes it like, holy crap. You have been held hostage and you were sympathizing for your abuser. And you implemented it, and you're the one who held yourself to it after a while. So you're the one who was holding yourself hostage only because you believed that it was honorable. So as soon as we get rid of the belief and we no longer think it's honorable, in fact, you see it as abusive, what happens to the syndrome?
It goes away.
Yeah.
You're free.
You are, and you're free as long as you have disconnected from that system. If in any way you decide I need to lose weight for this purpose, you have the body image belief comes back. So this cloudiness will come back. I see that with people who are not willing to let it go. They have a hard time letting it go because they just cannot live without being thin. They cannot do it. Even if you get them out for a little bit, it's like they leave the combine or the cult, but they still hold themselves to the cult belief system. They're eventually going to go back, right? Because they cannot let go. They still think that it's honorable. And they've been clouded by the most incredible manipulation I see coming from that cult, the body image culture. It's for your health. Like that is healthy, right? Now, do you hear me say that? And you can hear now that you're out, how disgusting that is. Like it's healthy to be held to these standards. As if you should be abused, you should starve yourself, you should micromanage your food because it's healthy for you.
Yeah. It sounds crazy now. That's not healthy at all.
No, it's not. They don't know what health is, but they think they do. Mm-hmm. Health is not being fat, period. Sounds like stigma.
Mm-hmm.
Health stigma. There's a lot of it out there, especially in the medical community. I have quite a few doctors that I work with who've had that stigma, and they are just as insane, and they have left the cult, and they cannot believe how much fat stigma is in the medical community, as if the fat is the problem, not the inflammation in the brain, not the belief systems of body image, which is huge in our culture. I mean, we're not talking about a tiny subculture. Body image and body idling is huge. Health righteousness is everywhere too. As if your thinness makes you better than other people's fatness. As if fat means that they're bad people or that they don't have self-control and they lack willpower.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy when you're in it. When you get out of it, it's so much easier, isn't it? It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that hard.
Well, that's the thing I realized too. I always thought I just didn't have the willpower.
Well, of course.
I realized that I was being, and that was a belief. That was never the issue. It wasn't me. It was just the restrictions and the rules that I put on myself. It makes perfect sense from the outside.
It does. Now it does. Now you're like, oh my God, no wonder. No wonder I felt so bad about myself, because I never questioned the abusiveness in the dieting. Like, people just think it's honorable, right? Because, we all should be thin, right? So in terms of the syndrome, one of the main things about people who have been held captive, who actually support their captor eventually, is that they believe in the value system of their captor. So if you believe being thin is the most amazing, healthy thing that everybody should have, you're not going to question the abusiveness to get there. You just assume it's honorable because the end is honorable. The means to the end is now honorable, right?
Exactly.
And you can tell this isn't good. It's not helpful. I'm having a hard time. I'm struggling. No one questions the abusiveness. It is incredibly abusive. Could you imagine if, anybody listening here, I want you to take all of your children and I want you to implement your dieting to them. How's that feel? A little abusive? You should be put in jail. Child abuse? Of course. Should any child be forced to exercise their food off? No, it's incredibly abusive. But the only reason why we don't see it, who are in it, is because we honor the system. We actually internalize the thin value system. So we just assume that all this crazy going into being thin is healthy. It is not healthy. If you look at your body, if you're gaining a bunch of fat, you might want to blame the diet industry. But you're the one who has the choice. So ultimately, what you said earlier about you have to take responsibility 100%. It is the truth, because it is a choice that you believe in it, and it is a choice that you stay in it. So once you stop believing in it and you choose to leave, you now have freedom. It is incredibly quick. It is like this brain hijacking is gone. You now have freedom, and you don't feel bad, do you?
No.
Food is no longer stressful. It just doesn't occur. It's like you can have anything you want, no shame, no guilt. So do you really want it?
That was crazy for me too, because there was almost like things that I thought that I wanted or would have, liked before, because when you think you're not doing it for taste.
No, you're not binging for taste or pleasure.
You don't even want the things that you thought you were going to want. It's so weird.
Yeah, you thought you were addicted too, right? You actually studied and followed the addiction model, correct? That the food has all these narcotics, that the food has been manipulated to be a narcotic, that sugar's a narcotic, that it's addictive. You actually thought you were addicted. Now I want you to tell me what you truly believe, knowing what you know now. What do you think? Is that really true?
No. You're not addicted to sugar. If you think you're addicted to sugar, just try this and see. You are not. It's not an addiction, because it's gone. If it was an addiction, it would have been like, a withdrawal. You're trying to have to force yourself out of it.
Yeah, you would not be able to control yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning it would take over you. You would have to eat it out of these incredible impulses that override your logic and intelligence, and it becomes, you become, crazy. Is that the case?
No.
It used to feel that way though, right? When you were in it, it felt that way. But now that you're out and you have freedom to eat, what happens to those impulses while you're eating the same food you used to binge on? They're gone now, right?
They're gone, yeah. It's not there. You can have it later if you don't feel like you need to. continue eating, and it doesn't feel bad, so you don't feel ashamed when you're doing it. Yeah.
So you're coming from your own experience, because when we talked last, that 90 minutes, almost 2 hours, I never talked about this, did I?
No.
You just said, I'm really worried, I'm a little nervous, and I said, don't worry about it. Just give yourself freedom. When you're hungry, you eat. I want you to make sure you get enough. Don't feel bad if you struggle. Remember, I told you might not have a good sense of it. You're allowed to suck. I don't care. Figure it out. That's pretty much what I left you with, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you have learned all of what you just said with your own experience. The impulses are gone. I thought I would want to go out and eat all this. When I was given the choice, I actually didn't want it. Yeah, I don't really work with the hunger scale. I mean, that to me is like, oh, it happens naturally. For everybody who is completely severed ties with the thin model, and they accept the body they have, even to gaining weight, right? Nice, because I remember I tell everybody, okay, once you accept this body, could you gain weight? Would you be willing to gain weight for the freedom from this cult? And you said yes by the end, right? I'm totally fine. I could gain weight. I never want to go back to that again. It is miserable. It is isolating. It is holding you captive. You can't do anything. You can't enjoy yourself. You can't be human. You cannot live when you're held captive to that.
No.
So you decided, I would rather gain fat more than I already have. Right? And so what that provides you is total and complete freedom to learn. And that there's a lot of grace around it, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Totally.
It's amazing.
I know. And you find that you end up eating, you don't even need as much food as you were thinking you did. That's the crazy thing too, is if you really listen to your body, it just happens. You don't even, it is really second nature, which, I mean, sounds like common sense because it's your body, but I don't know.
Well, it only happens for,
you don't see that.
Yeah, but the reason why you have that type of freedom from these underlying impulses is because you completely left that culture. You are no longer holding yourself hostage to that belief system. You do not believe you need to be thin. You do not believe being fat is a sin. You don't believe it is worthy of shame, and you no longer hold yourself to it. So people who are still in the thought process of that, they have this underlying sense of like vibration or stress around eating to hunger. They have a very hard time only eating till the food is gone, right? Or not food is gone. They have a hard time eating only until hunger is completely removed. They keep on going, right? They have this weird drive. That is what happens. And it's okay, right? There's nothing, that's part of learning. Don't you agree if that were the case? But for you, what you are realizing is that those impulses completely go away. They don't require effort. You don't have to focus on it. It doesn't require self-control. You don't need self-control because it's inherently controlling itself. It doesn't require cognitive control, does it?
No.
The body does it for you. You just go with it. The only reason you have that freedom is because you are you completely detached from that culture. Emotionally, psychologically, your beliefs around health have completely shifted, right? If you believed that having this body fat was unhealthy, could you have this freedom?
No.
I know. So you have to completely change your ideals around what health is, right? And tell me this. Do you feel physically better right now?
Yeah, thank you.
I know, and I mean, you could say no, that's fine. But in all reality, I've yet to see someone feel that way. Even at 380 pounds, they feel a ton better. They physically feel healthier. They have more energy. They don't need as much insulin if you're diabetic. I've seen a ton of shifts change just by changing your beliefs around body image and body fat. If you can make it not, what is unhealthy is this culture that you subscribe to. Incredibly poisonous. Like poisoning your brain and poisoning your body with these beliefs. Right? Remove the belief and all of a sudden you feel so much better. Like how do you have more energy and how do you sleep better and how do you feel more relaxed? All those symptoms of survival are just gone, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible. I'm very excited to discuss this syndrome.
your state of mind is just so much better. I can even, it's crazy.
Well, don't you agree? You feel like you just left captivity and you're free.
Yes.
No. You're free to be yourself. You're free to have your own character. You're free to enjoy food. You no longer have to have shame, guilt, stigma around food. You're free to exercise for pleasure. You're no longer exercising because you need a body image. It's really just about feeling good in the body you have. You're free to love yourself. Like, have you ever really loved yourself to this degree?
No.
It's amazing what self-worth can do to someone's state of mind.
Yeah.
And this is unconditional, right? Before it was always under a condition. I will have self-worth when I meet these demands, right?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Once I'm there, then I'll love myself. No. Just do it now.
Yeah, and even if you get there, are you really loving yourself, or are you loving what you have, what you get there, right? You only love the condition, not the actual self.
That's exactly.
Yeah. A lot of people say, well, when I lose weight, I do feel so much better. Well, that's because you are idolizing the image and you think that you're becoming something better, and you're really not. You're the same damn person. You're just as amazing as a person with fat as you are without fat. You just are getting the stimulus from the beliefs or the bias around body image. So it's very clouded. It's not real, and it always goes away, right? When you've lost weight in the past, you do get a sense of euphoria and power, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it goes away.
Yeah, and then it's not good enough anymore.
Nope. So it diminishes, and it's not real. Tell me how this feels in terms of the euphoria of this versus the euphoria of losing weight in that cult ideology. How does this feel in comparison?
So, because when you lose weight, you almost still don't feel free. You just don't feel like you're, like kind of what you were saying before, it's kind of how to hold on to that. That feel is like clouding your whole mind. Now I just feel free to live day to day, and I love myself, and there's no conditions around it. There's no, oh, I love myself because it just is. I'm just me.
It's amazing. It's amazing. You know what? When I had my own experience, it was this crazy and abrupt. It was this miraculous. It went from such a severe state of hell to what you're experiencing. It literally happened, and I didn't know how it happened. I just felt like God must have fixed it. Whatever it was, I was given this incredible power of mind in the moment of this incredible despair. And I remember too, when I came out of this thinking, I want to help people. Oh my God, this is amazing. But I wasn't sure how it happened. It just occurred in this state of mind. You could say it was an out of body, whatever it was. It just happened to me. I didn't have help. I didn't have someone talking me through it. And so as I've evolved here with this process, I am basically becoming that conduit. I am not doing the work. I am not the work. I do not define what you did. All I'm doing is saying, here's where you're at, and this is what is going on, and here's how you can change it. You're the one who actually goes through it, right?
Yeah.
Because it is your work, and you're the one who's made these decisions. I didn't make them for you, right? I've given you a ton of grace to struggle and to go back in and out, and I'm fine. But the fact that you did this, tell me how it feels to know that you healed yourself.
That has been the biggest part. It gives you a sense of confidence that, you can do this. You are capable. You are worthy and capable of doing this for yourself. And
what is the likelihood you're going to go back into it knowing what you know and making the choice for yourself? Do you feel vulnerable to going back?
No.
That to me is the most empowering thing, because that's how I felt too. I was like, there's no friggin' way I'm ever going to care about this. I mean, I am assimilating into my culture. I'm going to wear earrings. I'm a woman. I like to play. I'm playing a game. I'm playing a role. I have fun when I go out, but it doesn't become me. This isn't me trying to prove myself.
Exactly.
That's very different, isn't it? I remember thinking, I will never prove myself again. I'm just going to be who I am, and I'm going to let my integrity run the show, and everybody else is not my problem. So if you don't like me, That's okay. I don't care. I'm not trying to get your approval. I'm just being myself.
And you just, anything is worth being to your insanity.
Yeah. And honoring your truth. If you honor your truth, what is the likelihood that you're going to get sucked into a different cult or ideology to where they hijack it and say you have to prove yourself to this system? What's the likelihood you're going to do that again in some other realm?
None.
I know. Why would you do that again? Why would you dishonor yourself and honor some belief system once you've done that and lived in it and suffered in it?
No. Yeah, now that you've seen the two sides, it's almost like you can consciously make that decision. Before, if you don't have clarity, it's hard to see yourself outside. Now that you can, it's like you said, why would you ever go back in once you know what it's like to be free?
Yeah, and to expose the system, because I think it's very exposing of the system for you now.
Yeah.
Right? Like that right there is not okay. This is holding people hostage and making them pay and taking control of their identity, right? The whole body image system is pretty abusive, isn't it?
Yeah. It is.
That includes health righteousness, body righteousness, look righteousness, athletic righteousness, anything that uses the body idol and creates a moral righteousness out of it is not okay. It hijacks people's soul. It's like you don't have a soul anymore. Remember we kind of talked about that too? Like you're just a body. You're not a soul. You're just a body. And you need to prove yourself with the body you have. And it's like once you leave this, it's like, no, you're a soul. Your soul is honorable. It does not have to prove itself through healthiness, beautiness, functionness, hair. I mean, you don't have to prove anything. The soul now is alive. It's like your body just got illuminated with a soul, and the soul is what's real. It's amazing, isn't it?
One of your videos, you said something about that it was, your body is a tool that you use to communicate. But if you were to switch and, be in another body, people would still know who you are. And that really spoke to me because it's true. You are who you are, and people that know you by your soul, not by just your body. That's so unimportant in the big scheme of things. Yeah,
like, are you your weight loss?
No.
I know. When you hear that, it just makes you go, "Oh my God."
Yeah, it doesn't even
matter. It just sounds very juvenile, and it is juvenile. But people who get sucked into it, if you believe it, you're clouded. That's the crazy thing is this syndrome requires that the victim actually internalize and believe the value system that they are abused by.
Yeah.
That is the glue that keeps you sucked in. If you no longer value the system's belief and you no longer believe that it is required or necessary, you no longer are deluded. You can see how abusive it is, right? Should you feel ashamed of eating food?
No.
People who are in it actually feel ashamed of being hungry. Oh my God, I'm hungry. That's not good. There's something wrong with being hungry, right?
Yeah. So, the body's doing what it's supposed to do.
All right, we're repeating ourselves. Anyways, thank you. Is there anything you want to say to the listener?
I would just say that there is hope, and you're not alone. A lot of people are, in the same mindset that you're in, and it is really as easy as it sounds. You might think we're crazy, but it really isn't. And give it a chance before you knock it down, because you're not crazy. You can get out of it.
That's how I felt. And the crazy thing too is when you're in it, you don't feel like there's a way to escape. There is no escape. I know. Because no one thinks that their desire to be thin is the problem. There's no escape because it's a sacred, honorable belief system. And that right there is why you have this syndrome, Stockholm syndrome, people. That's what this is.
Yeah.
I call it social Stockholm syndrome, weight loss Stockholm syndrome. I mean, it is a body image syndrome. And that's why it's so quickly removed. This is not necessarily condition. This is not a disease. This is not addiction. Again, even when you look at it as an addiction, you're addicted to the body image, and you're only addicted as long as you think it is honorable, right? Because if you remove the honorability of the body imagery, all of a sudden you no longer have the same addiction, right? Because that's the other vulnerability is, can I ever let go of the thinness model? Well, if you let go of the valuing of it, it's over. And that right there is such an important part of that syndrome. And this is going to be in my next book, and I am basing most of the book about it because I don't think that this is actually a mental illness. I think it's a phenomenon. Yeah. You're mentally ill in it, but once you get out, it's gone, and it's instant. It's fascinating.
It really is.
I know. It's almost like shocking and surprising. Right? And the other thing is, when you scheduled with me, I didn't tell you this was going to happen. No, I don't explain it this way. I just say, here's what's going on. This is what this requires. The only way to get out is for you to basically completely eliminate the valuing system of this. You remove yourself from being judged and compared to that valuing system. You free yourself, and it's gone. The likelihood that you will go back is only there if you actually honor the systems as honorable. Like if you want to date again and you need to lose weight again, so it can come back. Trust me, you'll go back in. And if you do, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It just means that there's something there that you still believe in. There is some part of that belief system that you still hold yourself to. It's like I hold myself to thinness when I date. I hold myself to thinness when I get married. I hold myself to thinness at my daughter's wedding or my son's wedding or when I go on vacations. And those very specific beliefs and those environments will suck you back in. And unfortunately, what I find is that you don't get real weight loss. You get bigger. You get bigger. Especially veteran dieters who have been in that cult for a really long time, they just get big. It's like as soon as you decide you want to lose weight, you start shoving food in your face, and all of a sudden you're 20 pounds heavier. And you end up canceling and not going to the event you wanted to go to anyways, but it's another discussion. It's like you are now no longer, you're punished. You are punished for your transgressions. You can't have a social life. All of those are very, very predictable with this type of syndrome. Look it up. It's called Stockholm Syndrome.
It makes so much sense.
I know. And it makes sense for why you're so quickly out of it. Why it so quickly dissolves. It's like poof, gone. Oh my God, I'm free. Holy shit, I don't have to do this anymore. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm honored to have helped you get to this position. You did it, but I am honored that you allowed me to guide you to do it.
Well, I'm thankful that you did. Because really it does help. Having you to guide me out was what I needed, If you don't feel like you can do it on your own when you're stuck in it.
No, I would agree. I would agree from my own personal experience with that. It's awful. Awful, awful, awful. Miserable awfulness. It would be like being held captive. That's what it feels like. I remember for me, it felt like I was in a dark, dark, dark dungeon grave and I couldn't get out. There was no way out. There was no freedom. There was no tools. There was nothing for me to get out. It was just the way life was going to be. Total isolation, total obsession. It was total and complete crazy. As if you are being held hostage. You cannot leave the cage. And you're the one who is holding yourself in it because you believe you have to stay because of the system you're implementing.
Yeah.
I know. And as soon as you remove the value of the system, as soon as it no longer seems honorable to you, as soon as you're willing to question, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm done. I will never do this again. And boom, you're gone. It's out. It's over. And it is. Once the decision is made, once you go, I'm not doing this anymore, it's like the brain just relaxes. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And you have to question 100% of it, not parts of it. You have to question 100% of this health crap, this obesity and type 2 diabetes mongering. I mean, you know how many people fear monger type 2 diabetes? Like you're going to get it tomorrow if you don't reduce your sugar right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like type 2 diabetes is like a sin. Because no, it's not. And it doesn't just happen. There's a lot that goes into the psychology of it, you know. It's you have to question all of the fear mongering that holds you into body imagery. You have to completely disintegrate 100% of it totally. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then it's over.
You have to be 100% gone, or else there's gonna be some little way you're gonna get stuck back in if you don't completely just question everything.
But what about health? Don't you know statistically obesity and disease? That's questionable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, no, why are we looking at obesity as if it's a cause when it's not? It's a consequence.
Exactly. It's a consequence.
Totally. And your thinking was far more influential on that than the actual body in itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like your body just didn't get fat. No. It doesn't just do that. There's a degree of inflammation in your thinking that makes it sensitive. That is far more of an influence to disease than the body itself. Okay, thank you for sharing this.